Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Citi Prime News, which is live from our studios at number 11, Dr. Morton Loop in Adabraka, Accra. It's also live on all our partner stations across the country. The news is also live across the globe on citynewsroom.com, Citi 97.3 FM on Facebook, and CityTube on YouTube. I am Wilma Ubulbisa Coleman, and this afternoon I'm here with
Kweku Ediama Ansa.
Coming up, Minority in Parliament appeals to independent power producers to rescind their decision to cut supply to the national grid from July 1 and urges government to show commitment in resolving their grievances. Also coming up, and still in Parliament, MP-elect for Asin North James Judge Kwesi expected to be sworn in today by Speaker Alban Bagbin. Still ahead, KNUST chapter of Tertiary Education Workers Union threatens industrial action if management of the institution fails to release monthly contributions of its members to their association.
Who have a cause to complain with the university management that if our money did not give it to us and there's a shake-up by the members, who will give up for members to shake the system so that we'll get our monies to run the university, to run our union.
And much later, National Seed Trade Association of Ghana debunks media reports that shortage of maize seeds has disrupted planting in Sisala in the Upper West region.
But that does not mean that the local people or locally manufactured seed, for lack of better words, are insured and insured. Because today, as I speak to you, my members are supplying seed in Tamale and other places.
If you stay tuned, we'll bring you details of all those stories and others on the Citi Prime News, which is also live on all our affiliate stations across the country. In the Western region, we're on Premier 100.5 FM and Beach 105.5 FM, all in Takoradi. In the Bono region, we're on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyang. In the Ashanti region, we are live on Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi. In the Eastern region, you're listening to us on Right 90.1 FM in Somanya. In the Volta region, we are listening to us on Holy 98.5 FM in Aplawo. In the Northern region, we're on Dasma 99.1 FM in Yendi. In the Upper East, we are live on WED 88.3 FM in Suarungu. And in the Upper West region, we are on Bugli Radio 88.6 FM in Wa.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Grateful for your time this afternoon. We'll settle for the details of our story and we'll go straight into Parliament because the minority has accused the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, of discriminatory payment of debt owed independent power producers. The minority says the move will not help in resolving concerns of the IPPs. The independent power producers, which controls 50% of the country's generation mix, has threatened to shut down their plants tomorrow unless the government provides an interim payment of 30% of the outstanding debt of 1.7 billion cedis owed them. Speaking to journalists, the ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, John Jinapo, appealed to the IPPs to rescind their decision while urging the government to show commitment in resolving their grievances.
A shutdown of their plants would mean that this country would experience massive load shedding, massive blackouts, massive doomsday that has not been experienced before. When 50% of the total power produced is taken out, your guess is as good as mine. I have spoken to former President Mahama, and he has indicated that on his behalf, I should make a passionate and humbling appeal to these independent power producers, that for the sake of this country, he's making a passionate appeal to them to reconsider their decision towards shutting their plants on the 1st of July. That is the deadline they've given to government. And so we want to make a passionate appeal and plead with the independent power producers to give government and the nation some more time. But even as we are pleading with them, we wish to call on government to demonstrate leadership, to show commitment. And I think that the approach being adopted by the finance minister will not resolve the issue. The finance minister, instead of dealing with the chamber of IPPs, is engaged in selective payments, discriminatory payments, selecting some preferred IPPs, paying them, and leaving others to their own fate. We want to call on the finance ministry and government, and particularly the president, to intervene urgently in this matter and ensure that we find an amicable solution. The debt, as we speak now, is about $1.7 billion, and it keeps compounding. ECG's losses today is over 30%. Forest losses alone accounts for more than $300 million. Fuel supplied that has not been paid runs into hundreds of millions of dollars. The inefficiency in the system is killing the sector, and government must do something. When we vote you into power, we vote you to accept both assets and liabilities. Government must be proactive, government must engage the IPPs, and government must make some commitment to the IPPs. The IPPs are demanding a minimum payment of 30% of this outstanding bill. Even if government cannot pay all, at least government should meet them halfway whilst we find solution to these challenges. And so once again, on behalf of His Excellency President Mahama, I wish to make a passionate call and make a humble appeal to the IPPs not to shut their plants on the 1st of July. A shutdown will mean that this country would move back into crisis and we can no longer function as a country.
John Jenapo is the ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament. We'll go over the phone lines to speak to our parliamentary correspondent, Ni Ayikwe Okain, to tell us more. Ni Ayikwe, many thanks for your time. What more has the minority been saying about the IPP?
Well, so this morning, the ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, John Jenapo, addressed the media on the issue which has been making news within the last few days about the independent power producers' plan to shut down their plant effective tomorrow, that's July 1, if the government does not pay 30% of the debt it owed them out of the $1.7 billion debt that it owes them. And this is because the group says that they are also indebted to their creditors and contractors, hence, and other essential stakeholders. Hence, the delay by the government to release funds would obviously also delay their payment of their stakeholders and the need for government to ensure that the payment is done. According to the minority, they have engaged the independent power producers, and what they are gathering is that the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, is making selective payments of these power producers. He says that the ranking member says that instead of the finance minister to engage the chamber as a whole and pay them, he is rather calling out some of these power producers and then paying them, which he believes that wouldn't augur well for the matter. Hence, the need for the finance minister to show some commitment and leadership in addressing this particular concern. Because for the minority, if the country is plunged into darkness, it wouldn't augur well at all. Businesses will go into a halt and major activities would indeed be affected. So they are appealing, they are making a passionate appeal to the independent power producers to rescind their decision to shut down their plants, whilst they are also urging the government to ensure that these power producers are paid on time, and then they are also having their concerns addressed as urgent as it is, so that we wouldn't experience any power crisis in the coming days.
Right. I would move away from that and go to the fact that the Member of Parliament elect for Arsenal, James Jachikwason, he's expected to be sworn in today by the Speaker of Parliament. Could you tell us a bit about that too?
Exactly. So on the order paper for today, we have prayers and then we have oaths and message from the President. So after the prayers, we're expecting that the oath would be taken by the Member of Parliament elect for Arsenal, James Jachikwason. But unfortunately today we haven't had the Speaker himself in the House, Alban Bagbin. We have the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osayo-Wusu, chairing proceedings for today. So that has been skipped to other businesses. We had the majority leader, Osechi Mensah, who doubles as the chairman of the business committee, presenting the business activities for the ensuing week. So for the oath, that has been stamped down for now. We are expecting that that could be taken later in the day, but as it stands now, it's been stamped down, and the business activity for the ensuing week presented by the majority leader, Osechi Mensah.
I would ask you to hold on a bit. We want to play the Speaker of Parliament's voice and where he was condemning the daily prosecution of Asin North MP James Jachikwason. Let's listen to what he's been saying.
His words, I tell them and I tell the judges, it's not right. Okay? If it is done to everybody, I have no proof. If it is done selectively, I have no proof. What we're doing is ruled by law, not the rule of law. And I think that we should move away from that. For democracy to succeed, the pillar is rule of law. The law is not respected of the person. And that's one of the errors in our constitution. Read through our constitution, you see our law is the respect of so many people. So many people in Ghana are above the law. You can't have democracy. You can't have it. And so we need to take it seriously. And this constitutional review is something we must take up. And that's one of the reasons during this, the 30th anniversary, to mark the turnaround, to do all this cleaning up. But don't be surprised.
You heard that the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, will still have my colleague Ni Ayikwe Okan on the line. Ni, what other business of the day is there?
So following the presentation of the business statement for the upcoming week by the majority leader, Osechi Mensah, concerns were raised about why Parliament could not take the second reading of the Promotion of Proper Sexual Human Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill 2021, because if you would recall, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, last week Friday directed the Business Committee to table the bill either Tuesday or Thursday for consideration. That's for the second reading, and where we would have a debate on that particular motion, which is also termed as the anti-gay bill. But the House could not do so on Tuesday, obviously because of the Afro North by-election, which took most of the MPs from the chamber to that place, Afro North, to undertake that electoral process. And on Thursday, which was yesterday, we couldn't also have the House having the second reading of that particular bill. So one of the proponents, Emmanuel Kwesi-Bedra, who is an MP for Old West, raised concerns about why the House could not undertake the second reading or the debate on that particular bill. And in his response, the majority leader, Osechi Mensah, actually revealed that the chairman of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, that is Kwame Enyimadu, as well as the ranking member, could not appear in the House this week because they are key members on the committee who are supposed to. So the chairman is supposed to move the motion, and then it will be seconded by the ranking, and then subsequently the debate will continue. But since these two key individuals or MPs were not in the House this week, according to the majority leader, they were out of the jurisdiction. So for today, we are expecting to have these two MPs in the House, and then next week, God willing, that debate on the anti-LGBT bill could be taken within next week. The majority leader, Osechi Mensah, also made it clear to us that the mid-year budget review is expected to take place on 27th of July 2023, where we would have the finance minister appearing before Parliament on that.
Well, thank you so much for that update from Parliament. But we'll still go ahead and play the voice of the proponent of the LGBT bill, Emmanuel Kwesi-Bedra, who is demanding answers on the delay of work on the bill.
Which was advertised yesterday and today has not found its way on the business statement. Our motion, the motion by the 8 private members on the proper promotion of proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian Family Value Bill has been advertised yesterday and today. And I'm sure if we are not able to take it today, it should find space in the business statement. Unfortunately, it has not found space. More so, if it's even taken today, it should find space for consideration stage in the business statement. It's been advertised for 2 days now, and nothing has appeared on the business statement. So I want to find out from the business committee what they are doing about it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Emmanuel Kwesi Bedra is one of the proponents of the LGBTQ bill, and he's demanding answers on the delay of the work on the bill.
Let's do other stories now. The National Seed Trade Association of Ghana has disputed media reports that claims that shortage of maize seeds have disrupted planting in Sisala in the Upper West region. According to the association, their investigations in the farming communities like Tumu, Golu, and Elembele revealed otherwise. Speaking to City News, the president of the association, Amos Azinu, says that there is no shortage of maize seeds, but rather the non-availability of a specific brand of maize seed which is imported.
NASDAQ is everybody for all the seed artists along the value chain in Ghana. And we have members across the system region, and that have been producing many seeds for the farmers. So if you look at this news article very well, it's a certain brand of a seed that the farmer, those seeds are mainly imported seeds. So it's more like the farmers have some inordinate taste for foreign goods for whatever reason I can say. But that does not mean that the local people or locally manufactured seed, for lack of better words, are insured and so. Because today, as I speak to you, my members are supplying seed in Somalia and other places. Me myself, I'm a seed producer, and I'm a big one of that matter. I'm also sending seed to the northern part of the country. So that narrative, that's where we came to as an association, that narrative is not true. So there are a lot of seed merchants who are like, they can go to Brazil, Argentina, South Africa, and buy seed and come and sell to farmers. Are you getting the point? It's like an open market. So due to the decision of the PDC last year and the taxes on the imported goods, they come from now. If you bring, some of them have it though in the country, but if some producers are over 80 cedis per kilo, and the locally manufactured ones are less than even 40 cedis. So that, on that point, the farmers are not even patronizing one, and it's in the summer here in the warehouses in summer. Now, because of the amount and the energy that involved in, they are not able to import as they used to do first under the Planting for Food and Job program. So that's where that narrative are in the system. But it doesn't mean that seed maize are a source of rice in Ghana. For seed maize, I can categorically tell you, members have the seed where we have a data that I'm still relying on some of the members to give their data that I have given you that figure. But when it comes to seed maize, as the article alluded to, we have enough to feed this country. We have enough. So, for instance, we don't produce a lot of vegetable seeds in Ghana. So, a lot of vegetable seeds, it's like 99% of the seeds have to be imported. So, if they make a reference to vegetable seeds, I will agree. But when it comes to something, particularly the article or the complaint was about maize, seed maize, that cannot be true. It is a local industry in the past 3 years or the last decade have done a lot of investment in the industry. For instance, in the past, a lot of companies may not have interest in establishing. But it has changed. I've seen a lot of people who are PhD holders. Myself, I hold a PhD. But without the PhD, I've now done a seed business as a farmer. You understand the point? So they have been, that's the model change in the space. Unlike the past where it's more like for all educated people who are in the space. But now we have educated people who are educated, they are putting their investment in the space. So we should have a confidence that the local people can deliver and we will achieve food security in this country.
You heard that the president of the National Seed Trade Association of Ghana, Amos Azinu.
You're still listening to the Citi Prime News live from our studios at Adabraka in Accra. Now, KNUST still ahead in the bulletin. KNUST chapter of the Tertiary Education Workers Union. They have threatened industrial action if government or if management of the institution fails to release monthly contributions of its members to their association. We'll bring you details of this story and others shortly. Do stay with us.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Ajwapa, what's all this condom business? Oh, I've told her over and over again that she won't get pregnant, and she's still insisting. Oh, isn't she the same person who said we would not have sex till we go out for at least 2 years? For all this time? Oh, and she still can't trust me enough? Abba, when I try to do something small, no, condom this, condom that. So handsome man like me, she probably thinks I have HIV.
Using a condom will protect you and your partner. Condoms are effective for protection against a wide spectrum of STIs and HIV infection. Don't take risks. Use a condom every time. Always come prepared.
This advert is brought to you by the Ghana AIDS Commission.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. Now, the Lagoon Municipal Assembly has commenced the dredging of the Sango Lagoon at Teshi in Accra. The project, which will span a period of 3 months, involves removing accumulated sediment, debris, and vegetation from the lagoon, ultimately restoring its original depth and capacity. The following report has more.
The Sango Lagoon in Teshi Mamli in Accra is crucial in preventing flooding and enabling fisherfolks to carry out their daily activities. Unfortunately, the area is prone to flooding and is low-lying due to the accumulated sediment and debris covering a significant part of the lagoon. This makes it difficult for water to flow freely into the sea during rainfall. After several stakeholder meetings with fisherfolks and residents, the government has started dredging the lagoon. The project is expected to take 3 months to complete. Mordecai Kwashin, the Chief Executive Officer of the Lagoon Assembly, stated that the project will avert flooding in the municipality.
As you are aware, we have dredged the entire length of the Sango stream from the top, but now we are at the lagoon itself. We are dredging to expand the capacity of the lagoon. In fact, we are restoring the boundaries of the old lagoon in order to increase the capacity of the lagoon to hold rain water. But there's also another reason why we are doing all of this. We are doing this also to enable the fisher folk to be able to moor their or anchor their canoes in calmer water, so that when the sea is rough, their canoes don't crash against the newly constructed breakwater. The situation was quite bad from the flooding, and we know that we used to have flooding all the way back to the Jordan Methodist and the area around it. Now we hope that with the desilting or the dredging of this lagoon, that issue of flooding in the low-lying areas will stop.
Lamenting the challenges residents and fisherfolks have had to bear with, the treasurer of the Teshi and Lujukuku Fishermen Association, Jacob Ananlaye, pledged to support the assembly to achieve its purpose.
Na abafe no kune wona na agba isoroti babao oshina isoroti kemi gbele sinu mene ngodro mo na aba wona agba okame atwe ni mene gbine amechi amebenga wo ha men wo twa me no ntutu no gba wona ame ya me wumi aka ambafi ame ha wo o yen sure na katapila ba je sisi mene le weba e ba je no tumo sisi kaji acha sanwo mi ba wawo eja kaji wana he ko ko le je ba hwe kaji nyungo ne wa tutu kaji nyungo ne we fiti oni bi sikaji nyungo ne wa lele ye ko ne ba kan ni wona na agba ye sanwo mi chai ehia ka sana acha mi awo wa ne atwa ngongo bona fe ni lele jin achileke ase he na mbachu amini achileke ase ngo hwe ko hwe hu diage kaji lele kumeni amedra kaja ka ba gble ba na agba sikaji anye achafa mi he na acha wanya park lele jenu ni sana gba na anye kwa gba aje we ensure na kamba na agba ko edu fun ba gba me na oba kwa me wa ye wo bo am.
That report was filed by Citi News' Kennedy Chumesi and read by Kweku Edriama Ansan.
Let's take you to the Ashanti region now, because the KNUST chapter of the Tertiary Education Workers Union of Ghana is warning of a possible industrial action if the management of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology does not release monthly contributions made by its members as dues to their association. The group laments that since breaking away from the TEWU in June last year, authorities of the university have failed to release contributions to the leadership of the association for running its operations. The chairman of the association, Charles Arthur, made the comments during the handing over ceremony for the next for the new set of executives who have been elected to lead the association.
We have a lot of outstanding issues that we want to champion it because as we speak now, for the past 1 year, university management has not given our own dues to us, which is contrary to the law. And we are agitating that must be given to us. Management is saying that the unions are too, and they cannot differentiate between our union and then the other union, which we are saying that no, because we have decided at the general meeting, and the general meeting decision is binding on everybody. So we don't see why the management is saying that they cannot enforce or respect our decision at the general meeting. So currently, as I speak, that issue is there. That university management, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology Management, will have to look at it. Because very soon, immediately after the May semester, next week, there's going to be May semester. We're not going to tamper with the May semester. We think about the student and the university as a whole. We will all cooperate and ensure that the May semester comes to an end successfully. But thereafter, we will have a cause to complain with the university management that if our money did not give it to us and there's a shake-up by the members, we will give up for members to shake the system so that we'll get our monies to run the university, to run our union. Because we do not see any union that can come to stay on institution or an entity that will come into existence that will not have its own money to run the affairs for 1 year. I mean, it's a great punishment that university management has melted against it. Notwithstanding that, we have been quiet and we think that immediately after the May semester, those monies will be given to us for us to run our union, for us to pay our debtors, and then everything goes on smoothly. So it is our prayer and our expectation that university management will simply understand so that there will be no confusion or chaos or anything that will disturb the environment that we find ourselves.
Charles Arthur is the chairman of the KNUST chapter of the Tertiary Education Workers Union of Ghana, TEWU.
The Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, is charging the Minister of Employment and Labour Relations to call management of Sunan Asogli Power Limited to reinstate 3 sacked workers. Sunan Asogli Power Limited some months back relieved 3 workers of their positions after they joined the Ghana Mine Workers Association. This decision has since led to a rage by the Trades Union Congress and at large organized labour, who have described the act as unfair. Subsequently, organized labour has protested and called for the reinstatement of the affected workers, but to no avail. Earlier this week, organized labour announced its intended strike on July 10 to demand their concerns. Reacting to this, General Secretary of NAT, a member of the organized labour, Thomas Musa, called on the sector minister to intervene.
These things, we should not allow these things to get on the 10th before we start doing the firefighting brigade approach, where we start calling. No. In fact, I want to believe that by the close of next week, these things should be resolved. Let us not wait until the whole nation is shut down. Then before people can come and say, can we talk? People, it will be difficult to get the people. The harm that have been done. Is that what we want? No, I think we need to get it right. We need to get it right, and it's very, very important. Those who want to act, they must act. Those duty bearers, they must rise up and act swiftly to avert the 10th, the 10th decision. They should avoid it.
But it's your outfit in support of this. I mean, are you going to also...
It's a decision of organized labor. All unions, we are all on board. All unions in Ghana. You are talking about all Article 190 workers. You're talking about the informal sector. Everybody is on board. And can you imagine everybody in one day deciding that we will not go to work? Can you imagine the implications on the economy and on the nation as a whole? Okay. That is why I'm saying, look, let us get this thing done and do it right.
Thomas Musa is the secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT.
Now, the Executive Secretary of the National Identification Authority, NIA, Professor Ken Atefua, says he is unfazed at the numerous criticisms that has come his way since assuming office. In an interview with Citi TV, Professor Atefua says he remains focused in carrying out his mandate. The NIA has come under fire following the inability of some Ghanaians to register their SIM cards as directed by government. But Professor Ken Atefua says they cannot be blamed.
I'm focused on doing the right thing, the best way possible. I don't do anything in a manner that could be done better. I do everything I do to the best of my abilities. So I am convinced that no other person could have done it better. But if somebody else could have done it better, it just means that we will be a notch higher as a society. What we've done at NIA, it far supersedes the understanding of those who were talking. Somebody was talking about doing this for $50 million. They have no clue what a national identification system is about. They have a clue about how to issue a national ID number. But ours, and that's just generated, developing an algorithm to give numbers. We have done that. We can give unique ID numbers to 300 million Ghanaians up until 300 years from now or whatever. We've set up that scheme. The science is done. We've done the verification system. We protected the data. We built the structures to secure your data, the bunkers to make sure that in the event of earthquake or disaster that the data is protected. We've done all that is needful. We are at a new phase. Those insulting me, first of all, I try not to listen to insults. They're too negative.
Mr. Atefua also explained why some people's NIA cards have delayed.
There are those whose data exists since President Kufuor's time. Her name is Freema. M-A, simple. Then under President Kufuor, then under President Akufo-Addo or Mahama, she goes and writes Freema with an H at the end. It changes the name completely. So when you come and you administer your fingerprint, the system arrests your application. She was previously married, has moved on, and she is not going through the appropriate legal procedure to change her name. Somebody goes and takes a new date of birth. We have a PhD holder who says he was born 1972. He has a birth certificate to prove it. He says he was born in 1962. He has a birth certificate to prove it. He says he was born in 1968. And he has other documentation which, if you do the transposition, you realize that, yes, the guy was born in 1968.
So which is which?
Which is which? And he presented one of them for his Ghana card. There are Ghanaians who lie. There are Ghanaians who have the nationalities of other countries that do not permit dual citizenship. And yet they come to Ghana. They are from Austria or Germany or the Netherlands. And then they come and get the Ghana card because they don't want to pay $120 for the foreigners. So they get the Ghana card for free. And then when they get into trouble, they will say that NIA lied. NIA made a mistake and issued them with a Ghana card. So the main reason people are not getting their cards, number one, is those who have provided contrary information. It may not necessarily be with an evil mind or a criminal intent, wrongful intent. But the point is that the information collides with something else that is in the system. And we have to correct it on a case-by-case basis. That's number one. Number two, there are those people who at the time of their registration, there was network challenge. We do our best to locate our registration centers. We survey every place the Electoral Commission used in the last election. That's what the law requires us to do, to use as our registration center. After using technology to determine where the network is strongest, then we locate the registration center. But sometimes, in the course of the work, the network just disappears.
Executive Secretary of the National Identification Authority, NIA, Professor Ken Atefua.
Now to some other stories. Founder of the Africa Center for Economic Transformation, Dr. Kingsley Amwakon, has called for consensus in decision-making in the next 25 years to ensure Ghana's economic transformation. Dr. Kingsley Amwakon, who was speaking at the second Emisa Arthur Forum at the University of Ghana, says the country must safeguard its democratic credentials through strong institutions. The second Emisa Arthur Forum is an economic lecture by the KB Emisa Arthur Foundation and the Economics Department of the University of Ghana in memory of the former Vice President Kwesi Emisa Arthur, who passed in 2018.
At the African Center for Economic Transformation, we developed the African Transformation Index to track countries' progress in this regard. An updated index will be released in a few weeks. And it will show that Ghana's economic transformation is in decline, below the Africa average in all the areas used to measure success, such as diversification of products and exports, technology, and labor productivity. As we know, Ghana has just made another agreement with the IMF, but the stakes are higher. Political polarization is worse. Civic disengagement is higher. Ghana must not only solve its economic problems to enable transformation, it must safeguard its democratic traditions and institutions. Another election is on the horizon, and the next government will lead Ghana into the second quarter of the 21st century. These next 25 years are absolutely crucial or critical to Ghana's ability to secure its future. Another consensus is needed, but this time it needs to be a true national consensus, broader, with more stakeholder input and buy-in, especially among the youth, women, and civil society.
Dr. Amwakon also called for the strengthening of the National Development Planning Commission, an agency he believes holds the key to Ghana's long-term economic transformation.
We need to move to action and to tackle some of the key. For example, in terms of the role of the National Plan Development Commission, I didn't say so, but when we're talking about the lessons, it's that I said it's a partnership, consistency, but you need an agent somewhere that makes sure there's continuity. So the institution, NDPC. But when you see how the NDPC over the years has functioned and the constraint it faces, it's not been effective. And it's in the constitution. Well, let's go back and say, how do we make the NDPC be the agent that we set a long-term vision, then have 5-year development plans. Every government comes and has its 5-year development, but it ties to the long-term vision, and the NDPC becomes the referee. So institutions matter.
You heard the founder for the Africa Center for Economic Transformation, Dr. Kingsley Amwakon. You are still listening to the Citi Prime News, live from our studios at Adabraka in Accra. Still ahead in the bulletin, business operations resume at various petrol and gas depots along the Volta Aluminium Company following suspension of strike by tanker drivers. We'll bring you details of this story and others shortly. Do stay with us.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday updates you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
Out of over 10 million Ghanaians employed, only 1.9 million are actively contributing to SNIT. For most people, their retirement plan is either their children or savings. What if your child is unable to care for you? Long life depletes your savings, or you suffer permanent disability. Financial support from loved ones in your old age is a blessing, but you should not rely solely on them. Whether you're a fashion designer, an online entrepreneur, a lawyer, or a business owner, today life is good, but tomorrow may be different. Register Register with SNIT and sign up for SEED for old age pension, invalidity pension, and survivor's lump sum benefit for your nominated dependents. Take control of your future. Ayo Udachio, Fano Pass now. Dial *711*9# to pay your contributions. Contact SNIT on 0302 611 622 or on socials at SNIT Ghana. SNIT, we deliver on our promise. T's and C's apply.
SSNIT.
The Voice Factory Season 5 airs live. Don't miss the repeats of the live performances of The Voice Factory Season 5 on 97.3 Citi FM. On Sundays at 12:30 p.m, on Mondays at 8 p.m, and on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Get all the excitement from the live shows of The Voice Factory Season 5 only on 97.3 Citi FM.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Throughout all life-changing moments such as graduations, weddings, funerals, birthdays, ATL is there to ensure you're never out of style. When you think fabric, think ATL. Log on to atlfabrics.com. Order and buy your favorite ATL fabric. You can also visit our shop at number 40 Kwame Nkrumah Avenue, opposite the Swansea Shopping Arcade at Accra Central. Also available in leading fabric dealer shops in Accra, Kumasi, and Cape Coast. ATL, bringing fabric to life.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
Yeah, welcome back. Now, business operations have resumed at various petrol and gas depots along the Volta Aluminium Company Valcook Bone Road in Tema. A tour by Citi News to some loading terminals, including the Tema Oil Refinery, showed tanker drivers queuing to fill their tanks. The operations come after government, through the Ministry of Roads and Highways, assured of efforts to fix deplorable roads around their loading terminals. Some of the tanker drivers were waiting for their turn to fill their tanks called on government to be swift in its actions.
For now, government has promised to fix the road. We went on strike based because of our roads on the depots that we passed through to load. And then our elders or our union members, executives have met with the road minister and then has promised to fix the road. So as a matter of fact, we are still waiting so that the roads will be fixed, so that we'll have a good roads wherever we want to go to or travel to. Wherever we are coming to pick up the products, we'll have a smooth road and then go in and come out freely. So we are expecting the government to fulfill his promise. If not, then the ball is in his court.
We want them to fix the road for us because the nature of the road is very bad. When you see the items we load or the products, gas, petrol, diesel, and so on, if you are going the road and this thing falls down, you see it's a very big, because it's just like a bomb, the gas truck like it. So without repairing the road, you also find it difficult. Maybe you are going to a 5 place, you pass this road, you're spraying the road. You take about 2 days. And the products that you leave you to stay long with it. Yeah.
How urgent are you waiting for government to fix your road?
Very soon. Very soon. Not that some years to come. No. Quickly, they should repair it. Now look at the dust. That one even can give us another sickness. The dust is very... Because you see the road, there is no ramps anything. So the drivers are not speeding. So you can see that the dust is also worrying them.
You had some tanker drivers in Accra. We'll go over the phone lines to speak to my colleague Daniel Odro-Mensah, who has been visiting these loading terminals to tell us more. Daniel, many thanks for your time. Describe to us the situation in Tema.
Good afternoon, Wilma. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, so we set off around 10 a.m. We got here around 11. We visited a number of loading terminals. We've gone to the Tema Oil Refinery loading terminal. We've been to the fuel trade. We've been to Chase loading terminal. And then finally, we are currently at the Bort bulk oil storage loading terminal. Yes, so a number of the drivers that we spoke to are still on their demands that government will be swift in fixing the road. This comes after yesterday they announced the suspension of their indefinite strike when the Minister of Roads and Highways, Kwesi Amoakwata, accompanied by the Minister of Transport, Kweku Esiama, and other officials from both ministries, agreeing that in 3 weeks they are going to see that the road will be leveled. So on the stretch, we saw one compactor trying to level some parts of the road. And so basically, that's what I can report, Roma.
Before, these concerns that the drivers are asking for, the fixing of the roads, you have been there. Describe to us how bad these roads are.
Yes, so this road, is very dusty, bumpy. It's usually plied by these fuel tankers. They would have to take their time to meander through the road due to its nature, and also because they are often used by these fuel tankers. Usually, the small vehicles, that is the saloon cars, would always have to wait for them to, go through the potholes before the saloon cars can also join. So it's quite a very, very bad road, so much dust and also very bumpy.
Now, have you been able to speak to some of the officials of the union, the Tanker Drivers Union? If yes, what have they been saying?
Yes, so I spoke to the vice chairman a while ago, that's Sunday Alabi, the vice chairman for the Ghana National Petroleum Tanker Drivers Union, and he has been telling me that, yes, they have agreed to suspend. He was very emphatic on the word suspend, that they have agreed to suspend their strike, but then they are waiting on government that after 3 weeks, if they don't see any fruitful results, as in if they don't see any of their roads leveled, then they are going to resume their strike.
Well, have you seen a lot of the drivers there too?
Yes, so all the terminals that we visited, it was so busy, they were queuing for their tank to be filled, to have their tanks filled. So all the terminals that we visited were all busy, drivers coming in and moving out and all that. So it's busy, business operations are going on swiftly as we reported.
Well, thank you so much for that update. That was my colleague Daniel Odro Mensa, and he has been visiting some loading terminals, and he reports that business operations have resumed at various petrol and gas depots following the suspension of the strike by the Tanker Drivers Union. Quick, who will bring us some other stories?
Now, the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation says that government is fast-tracking efforts to transition the country's energy production towards nuclear energy, citing it as a viable long-term solution to the country's energy demands. The ministry attributes the current fluctuations in electricity tariffs to the country's heavy reliance on fossil fuel and hydropower for energy generation. Speaking during the Africa Scientific Renaissance celebration, Director of Science and Technology and Innovation, Mr. Kwesen, who spoke on behalf of the sector minister, stated that the reliance on nuclear energy is the surest way to reduce electricity tariffs and promote industrialization.
Ghana's electricity generation at present has changed from 84% hydro and 14% thermal to 38% hydro and 60% thermal. This has caused high tariffs due to gas price volatility and erratic gas supply. 40% of production costs for industries in Ghana is attributed to electricity costs, making it difficult for Ghanaian industries to stay competitive. with almost no hydro potential left to exploit. Nuclear and coal as base load options are very attractive to help reduce tariffs and help the country undergo industrialization. Nuclear power is the preferred choice because of climate change concerns and Ghana's commitment to reducing its carbon footprint as captured in the energy transition framework. The President of Ghana has demonstrated Ghana's commitment by announcing that Ghana is going nuclear based on a program comprehensive report at the end of phase 1. Ghana has also issued a request for information and received feedback for 6 large reactors and 9 small modular reactors. The President has also directed the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation and the Ministry of Energy to take the appropriate steps in collaboration with the Office of the Chief of Staff to facilitate and enhance the coordination role of the Ghana Nuclear Power Program Organization.
You heard there Kwamina Kwesin, who is the Director of Science and Technology and Innovation under the Ministry of Science, Environment, Technology and Innovation.
Away from that and to the northern region, the Nanumba South District Security Council is currently locked up in a crunch meeting following clashes at Lungni. Residents of the town are fleeing after the incident of gunshots last night over alleged chieftaincy disputes. Currently, there is heavy police and the military presence in the area to curb any tensions. 2 persons are reported to have sustained injuries from the clashes.
Let's bring you more stories now. The Ghana Revenue Authority's excise unit has seized numerous cartons of malt, vodka, Coca-Cola and other carbonated beverages being sold without the required excise stamp. The market value of these drinks amount to thousands of Ghana cedis. Now, the discovery was made during an exercise to arrest persons who sell products without the required excise stamp, indicating an attempt to evade tax. The head of the excise unit at the Ghana Revenue Authority, Kwabena Appel, indicated that investigations will be launched to uncover the circumstances surrounding the entry of these drinks onto the market.
Carbonated soft drinks like the ones you see there, Coca-Cola, Fanta, Sprite, they are all carbonated soft drinks. Energy drinks, malt drinks, beer, Heineken, the spirits, and all those kind of products, cigarettes, and then I've mentioned bottled water. And so we expect that all those products are supposed to be affixed with stamps, whether they are imported into the country or manufactured here. And we have noticed that most people are now flouting the law. Yesterday we were in town, we impounded some vehicles, and we have picked a lot of goods, as you have seen here. A lot of them are still loaded in trucks that have been impounded. And then we have others that we have sent to our warehouse. So that is the briefing. The briefing is that these products are coming in without the stamps, particularly the imported ones. They are all coming in without the stamps, meaning that no taxes are being paid on them. And this is what we have to stop. As you know, GRA, we have the mandate to collect taxes. And so all the measures that we have to take, including the tax stamp policy, that is to enhance revenue collection, has to be enforced. And this is exactly what we are doing. We want to bring to the attention of the general public that the policy is still on. So anybody purchasing any of these products should be mindful of the fact that the product should have that stamp on it. Because if you don't act, these importers will sell the products to the unsuspecting public, and we will go out there and pick them, and they'll lose everything. And this is what we want to stop.
You heard there Kwabena Appel, who is the head of the excise unit at the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA.
Now, the Deputy Minister for Energy, William Oreku Edu, says the gold for oil policy by the government was not intended to secure cheaper fuel options onto the Guinean market. The policy offers the government the opportunity to pay for imported oil products with gold in a bid to deal with the depreciation of the cedi against the US dollar and the rising cost of fuel prices. Answering questions on the floor of Parliament, William Oreku says the policy aimed at reducing the pressure on the country's forex.
Here was to take pressure off the foreign exchange, where government needed to use our scarce foreign exchange to procure petroleum products. In this case, we're using gold. We're using cedis to buy gold and then use the gold to exchange for petroleum products. So it's not, the purpose was not originally to get necessarily cheap price. We buy it as and when, spot.
You heard there the Deputy Minister of Energy, William Oreku Edu.
Now, President Akufo-Addo has reiterated government's resolve to do all it can to grow the country's private sector for the needed development. The president says Ghana's current economic challenges require investment from the private sector. Now, speaking at a meeting with the group board chair of Standard Chartered Bank, Jose Vernals, at the Jubilee House, President Akufo-Addo says Ghana will always welcome private investment.
This government is fully committed to doing whatever it can to aid the private sector, both domestic and foreign, to work in this competitive an environment as possible, to make it, to enable the private sector to be able to contribute to the growth of our economy. We believe strongly that ultimately it is the strength of the private sector in Ghana that will determine Ghana's future and its prospects. So a bank like yours that has had lots of experience here as well as around the world in providing the products that enable private sector operators to work is a bank whose contribution and association we value very much. We're happy to have you here on board.
President Akufo-Addo.
That's it for the Citi Prime News, which has been live from our studios at Adabraka, Accra. The news was also live on all our partner stations across the country. In the Western region, we are on Premier 100.5 FM and Beach 105.5 FM, all in Takrady. In the Bono region, we're live on Guina 95.9 FM in Sunyang. In the Ashanti region, this is Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi. In the Eastern region, we're on Right 90.1 FM in Somanya. In the Volta region, we're on Holy 98.5 FM in Aplawu. In the Northern region, you're listening to us on Dasuma 99.1 FM in Yendi. In the Upper East, we're on Word 88.3 FM in Zuarungu, and in the Upper West region, we're on Bogli Radio 88.6 FM in Wa. For more news, you can log on to our website, citynewsroom.com. I am Wilma Obubisa Coleman, and this afternoon I did this with
Kweku Ediama Answer.
Up next is the afternoon's edition of the City Business News. Many thanks for doing the listening, and do have a good afternoon.